All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Monday, November 15th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And at this time of the day, every weekday, Monday to Friday, welcome on back to our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students and trial members alike inside Cyber Group. I am not muted on social media like I was on Friday, so great to see all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube joining us once again. First things first, let's just get a quick sound check live from the trading room. Just want to make sure I'm good there. From Ron and Stefan and David saying check, mic check, all good. Robert, James, and Deb, the Debs in tandem there. Great to see you both. Donald and as well. John, perfect. All right. So, folks, welcome on back. A little housekeeping note we'll do at the very end of this meeting, but otherwise, we'll go right from top to bottom and we'll kind of build up our afternoon watch list, right? So, we will get to Bitcoin, crypto all together at the end. Mara is on the screen right now to begin, down just about 17+%. Hey, to see these crypto mining related stocks at the lows, I'm a lot more excited to see these stocks make a potential squeeze back up heading into the close than anything. As much as I say that, actually, allow me to begin by going back to Riot. About time. Freaking about time, because we were joking about this for a long while. I mean, not really joking about it. We knew we knew at some point in time over the last year and a half of us following these Bitcoin mining affiliated stocks that one day we would end up seeing them make the big run outbreak heading into the close. Well, for as much as that does not happen, actually, back on Friday, we caught it. Finally, the Riot trade ended up making this beautiful pop right off 42, pushed up higher, 2 points up heading into the close. That's exactly what you would hope to see out of any stock that's near or at the highs. Unfortunately, these Bitcoin mining, crypto mining affiliated stocks just never do that. Back on Friday, well, we had Riot run beautifully. That's why I'm even more excited to put both of these stocks back on the watch list for us going into the close because, hey, for as often as these stocks fail to continue moving in their respective directions, although they ended up running in their direction on Friday. Right now, Mara at the lows. It would be interesting to see this stop, begin to make higher lows, and then to begin to bounce back up, at least for the next 75 to 90 minutes here while we're still trading. So Mara and Riot, I don't mind putting both of these just on the main list to begin. Brian says, yes, it saved my day Friday, that's for sure. And that's if you're hoping for that continuation, which again doesn't happen that often. So I'm looking more for the dead cat bounce on these stocks, Mara and Riot, that are respectively down big so far. Otherwise, though, we'll just rip it right from top to bottom, and we'll go right from the top here on the CREX trade. Hey, not surprising to see this stock make such a big move off that powerful 275 support level. We had talked about this level all throughout the pre-market, and of course, after the market opened up, it held it beautifully as resistance up until like 11:30 Eastern time. This CREX trade out of nowhere just broke out from 275 up to 350 and above. Well, hey, if it's not going to break higher, there's only one other way the stock's going to go. And we left off on this stock actually as we finished up the pre-market movers masterclass that we did. So, it just goes to show at the time clearly, as we had anticipated, the CREX trade failed to break out above 350. And if it's not going to break out higher, at least at the time, momentarily, it's only going to go one other way. So at least from there, that's where we started to see this retrace all the way back down. And at least for the meantime here, making a healthy push off that 275. So you know what? I like this move so much, at least for right now. We'll put this back on our list. All right. Casper's a buyout. I'm not going to trade that. Buyouts do not really move. So I know there was earnings involved with this too, but I think they got bought out just when the news came out. So typically these stocks rarely make any sort of good traction or movement for us to capitalize on. Hey, it's moving up 8 cents across the last 2 hours. So if you're in the market for watching grass grow, and if it's cold or snowy and rainy outside and you're not able to do that outside your window, then this would be the stock to do it with, right? We'll see what else we got, though. We'll keep going. The SYTA had warrants. Not going to focus on this, but I will jump to the stock. SYTA ended up making a huge squeeze. I mean, going into the late morning from like 350, got halted a couple of times. And unfortunately, I mean, the volume died off before the stock even did. But, that's a big red flag there. Once the volume completely died off here, it only took about, an extra 10 or so minutes, 15 minutes. Once it failed to break higher, broke down below support of 5. That's a wrap. All right. TRT, Trio Tech. Ended up making a nice little push up from like 630-ish, 620 or 630-ish, 620-ish. The order book's so thin on this trade. That's definitely throwing me off right now. I'm not a fan of seeing that. I don't know if it's at all-time highs right now. I'll just check. Yeah, you know what? Getting close to multi-year highs. Nope, not all-time high. Go back to like 2007 here, it looks like. It's funny, from the daily chart, certainly looked like it was building up. I was like, oh, maybe that is all-time highs. Getting close. Not really the case, right? Go back to that monthly chart, you'll see. All right, got a bunch of warrants here, otherwise kind of littering the top of the gainers list here, so we'll skip over those. The BBLG, another pop and drop type of stock, ended up making this big pop and halt going into like 12:30 Eastern. I mean, just when the daily chart, or I mean, this is the monthly chart, but still, it's to say, when a long-term chart looks just as inactive as this has for as long as it did, usually it's going to be a pretty funky move. So yeah, it took off, made this big pop, but we didn't really miss much after. All right, here's a former runner, a known stock that we've done pretty well on, even over the last week. The Newegg stock ended up making a nice little breakout off 18 just before we started this meeting. It's actually pushing back up to the highs that we had back from last week too. Back on the 8th, just 1 week ago. So you know what? For right now, don't mind it. I'll put this on the main list here. All right, so we'll keep it going. See what else we got. The GGPI, saw that before. Familiar name at least. Kind of pulling back right now, so I guess we'll pass. Just seeing if there's any other familiar names here across the gainer side. You have the Kern stock from later into the pre-market and into the market open. The stock ended up making a nice pop, but again died off rather quick. All right, so the market dropping off going into the late morning, the early afternoon. I wasn't expecting for there to be that many, familiar names on the gainer side here. I guess I skipped over PROG, PROG. This had a nice push to it this morning, up over 12.5% right now. Just slow here for the meantime. So I did skip over this, but not much happening right now. And that's fine. Again, we're only on Monday, folks. Typically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are your hump days of the week. So we'll see what else we have on the loser side for right now. And I'll tell you, BTB, I didn't realize this until just this second, but BTB is easy to borrow. I could have sworn they're hard to borrow from the market open this morning. Man, ended up getting crushed really from pre-market. It popped up early in the morning pre-market, but completely fell off from there, only continued. And right now, I mean, granted, it actually could be an interesting little short opportunity. I don't know if it's too close to ground zero or not, like from Friday when we were going over that trade, but I'll keep it on the side list for right now. I feel like we'll probably run into one better short than this year. If not, then maybe I will add that. We'll see. TLS, shortable, dropping back down quite a bit. Stock ended up getting crushed over the pre-market hours this morning. Already made a pretty good retracement back up towards 20, and then from there fell back down. So you know what? This is more of a level 3 to 4 stock at least. I don't want to say level 5 just yet, but the thinness of the order book definitely doesn't make it level 1 or 2. I'll add this though, the TLS. I mean, nice steady downtrend to work with so far, fluctuating spread, and like I'd said, thin volume on the books. So, just got to be a little picky and choosy with where you want to jump in on this trade. But if it can continue to trend down, then it could be a pretty easy short opportunity into the close. Number 9 on the losers list, and perhaps climbing up the losers list here, the Mara trade. So down over 19% now. I would assume major support to be off of 61. After that, even bigger, likely at 60. I don't have Bookmap open for this trade, folks, but with this stock seemingly still dropping, then I would happen to wait for a whole number level first, like 61, and then otherwise, I'm assuming, I'm sure I'm right on this, but assuming 60 will be a bigger support level, at least in terms of volume. All right, let's see what else we have here. Bloom Energy down just about 10%. Just broke a new low a moment ago, but did squeak up a bit. This one definitely pretty tradable. The Evgo stock, actually shortable today. This one definitely a lot more tradable, and we're a lot more familiar on this stock too. So yeah, easily I'm going to put the Evgo stock on our list. certainly as long as it's shortable on our platform. And then if it's not shortable on yours, then you either wait for the dead cat bounce if there's one, and well, if there's not going to be one, then you move on to another trade. It's as simple as that. But yeah, right now, for as much as this stock moved up for us from the end of last week, it wasn't surprising to see it drop off from Friday afternoon. It was hard to borrow back then, so I wasn't able to short it. But yeah, right now it's pretty easy to borrow. Could lead to a nice trade. Got a big iceberg order on the bid, 20,000 shares at 16 bucks. All right, got Saba here down over 13%, but pretty flat. I'm gonna pass on this. All right, folks, if there's anything up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to check out here, type it in the chat board. Let me know pretty quick. From RJF on YouTube, he's asking for the dead cat bounce on Tilray. Yeah, that's right. Forgot about Tilray. Ended up making a pretty, well, actually, it was very active in pre-market. It was a pretty volatile move after the open, and it was more range bound, as you could see, just seemingly holding over 1320-ish support, but failing to break out above 14 and really 1350, because once it rebroke under 1350, well, like, there was one breakout here, but it was short-lived, and right back down it goes. So, you know what? I wouldn't hope for that dead cat bounce at least this afternoon. If it works out that way, great. But we were looking for that pop back up across the whole morning, across the whole afternoon, and even here, once it finally broke back over 1350, this could have been your chance. But that was a little while ago. At this point right now, I feel like it's more likely to continue dropping off. Tilray is still a very tradable stock in either direction. So if you do well on Tilray day to day, I'm sure that you would put it on your personal watch list, if anything. All right. Wendy with the MTTR stock. Ooh, forgot about this one. Yeah, it's up over 20%, has thin order book, but did make a new high right before we started this meeting. And, albeit pulling back down now, perhaps this could be a higher low in construction here. It's actually pretty close to all-time highs, and I can tell you it's all-time highs because this would go back more years or more days if it had the chance to. Looks like a new IPO back from February of this year. All-time high was back then right at 28, looks like. So, you know what? Good call. I like this. MTTR. Nice. All right. Cool. And hey, if there's anything else, folks, just keep typing away. I'm just going to dip into Bitcoin here pretty quick because it's more so than just following Bitcoin in particular. It's following the stocks that follow Bitcoin. So if you look at the S&P ETF, the SPY, it's on my 5-minute chart, had a big breakdown right before 12 p.m., but has pretty much just held its own throughout the day. Relatively lackluster, and actually now trying to squeak back up. Well, Mara obviously continuing to sink unless if 61's the slingshot level like we were hypothesizing. But why is Mara dropping so much but the markets are kind of holding here? Well, if you look at Bitcoin, I'm just slipping to a quick 3-minute chart just to show the movement across the morning here. But really since 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we've seen Bitcoin in particular, drop back down a bit from the weekends. And let me jump back to my hour graph on this. But from the weekend, well, we ended up leaving off back on, what was it, the 12th? Ended up making a pretty good retracement back up here, and this was even going into last night, just yesterday. It was beginning to push back up as high as 66 plus, and I was pretty encouraged by that. Pretty discouraged, to be honest with you, seeing it pull back down as sharply as it did. So I was hoping to see this begin to curdle back up over time across this week, and I still think there's a great chance of that happening. But we always have to think about all scenarios, and if the market's dump back down pretty hard heading into this afternoon or overnight as the futures reopen up at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight, then Bitcoin may continue to drop back down. The big support level that we had our eyes on, roughly an approximation, but right around 63.7, and it fell right back down there a moment ago, and it's trying to hold it. If it ends up failing to hold that and completely breaking down from that point, then let's jump to the 6-hour graph. We always have to think about all scenarios here. In a worst case scenario, or not worst case scenario, but if this continues to drop back down, if it does, then it wouldn't shock me to see it effectively make a bounce as low as 58, 59,000, which is right around the 200 EMA on my 6-hour chart, the yellow line here. So for me, I think that in a more severe situation, we see this crash down to 58, 59 and bounce. I don't think that's going to happen if I'm picking one over the other. I think that will eventually hold and run up pretty quickly, but I'm always preparing for all scenarios. All right. I have not bought any more Bitcoin from the last time I did. That was probably about like a month ago or so at this point. So even as it pulled back down to 63.7 and underneath here, I didn't buy more. I've been too vested in. So, if it does drop back down, I'm going to buy. If it doesn't drop back down and just pushes right back up, God bless. I'm a happy camper either way. All right. Looks like Mara's trying to make that little oomph over 69 or 61. I'd be a little careful though at first here. You could see it broke below it. It held under it pretty nicely. And just now it tried to eke back above it. So this could be the beginnings of that bounce. But let's see a little bit more come out of 61 first. All right, from John M. He's calling out the laser trade, LAZR, also a stock that's been pretty volatile in a good way. I mean, just tradable altogether across the last week. Pushing up right now. I don't really feel supreme need to put this on our main list. But John, if you've done well on this stock over the last 5 trading days, and if you're still looking to follow this heading into the close, I wouldn't blame you. Now, if you haven't done well on laser day over day, I'm not just talking to John, I'm talking to everyone. Hey, if there's a stock that you don't do well on or haven't done well on consistently over the last week, well, if it's not on our list, I'd probably just pass on it altogether then. Hey, if you do well on this stock, just because I'm not going to put it on the main list, if you do well on this stock, then I'm sure that you should consider it. TRT, we talked about this just earlier from Wendy. So this is the one I'd said I guess I'd come back to, but the order book is so thin. That's the part that's really kind of scaring me there, Wendy. You know what? It's still near the highs, so it wouldn't hurt me to slip it on the main list, but probably won't be on the top, the TRT trade. I'll tell you the CREX trade too. Unfortunately, that one came right back down. So again, this one's still on our list, but unless if this could snap right back over 3, I wouldn't be as led to believe for this to make the run. So still put on our list just in case. But for right now, I like the EVGO stock a lot more. The Bitcoin mining related stocks, obviously, I'm a fan of. And, we have the TLS stock too. That one also seemed pretty strong heading into the close on the way down. All right, folks, but I think that just about does it. Quick housekeeping note. Quick housekeeping note time. I did not make mention of this until right now. I'm going on vacation beginning tomorrow. Going to Florida. So from tomorrow through Friday, I am away. I am not going to be doing any sort of coaching or meetings or any of that. I know that Fausto and Rich will be doing the meetings across Tuesday throughout this week. Folks, if you have any urgent questions, extreme needs, then in that case, please email me. I'll be able to write back to you at least come Sunday when I return. But otherwise, folks, just as a quick heads up, and we'll make mention of that come tomorrow morning. Just again, I'll be on a nice little vacation. So look forward to it. Traders Talk tomorrow, I believe, should still be scheduled there, Norman. Good to go as always. All right, folks. So for all of us on social media, hey, how about that? You dealt with me for like the last week straight, subbing in for Fausto doing the morning meetings for him. Now you get a nice week break from me at least, so you don't have to deal with my annoying voice. But if you want to deal with my annoying voice, then feel more than free to go right down to the link on the banner below the stream to sign yourself up for a small week-long trial to our live trading room. Again, if you have any other questions, crypto or stock related, feel more than free to send over a quick email right over to josh@ctutrading.com. All right, folks, I will be back on the mic at 3:30 for all of us in Cyber Group, so you're not fully done with me just yet. I will be back on at 3:30. I'm feeling a lot better. Health-wise. So I know at 3:30 on Friday, I tagged out. I was literally unable to talk. So I'm good to go at least for the final hour. I look forward to it, and I'll talk to you all. I'll talk to you all coming up pretty shortly. Take care.